Ambassador Dr. Mohammad Nafis Zakaria, distinguished speakers, esteemed participants, and the COMSATS team, good evening. It's a privilege to join this distinguished forum, which underscores the critical role of women in science and innovation in shaping a sustainable and inclusive future. I myself have been involved with women's issues and the women's movement in Pakistan for as long as I can remember. And one of the greatest interests for me has been the ability to show how best the science supports the inclusion of women in everything to do with environment and more recently with climate change. So this particular conference is of great interest, and I'm sorry I can't be with you, but I'm happy to have the opportunity to at least speak to you. I would extend my sincere appreciation to COMSATS for convening the important dialogue and for its unwavering commitment to advancing gender equality in science and technology. Now, the challenges facing our world today, climate change, biodiversity loss, socio-economic inequalities, particularly the impact of pollution on the poor, they demand bold and innovative and inclusive solutions. Easier said than done. Climate change in particular remains one of the most pressing global challenges. It exacerbates vulnerabilities, it disproportionately affects marginalized populations, and as always in the economic spectrum, the women and the poorest at the bottom of the spectrum is usually a woman or a child. And that really is where equity becomes a major issue. While the impacts of climate are felt worldwide, they're not experienced equally. Women, children, communities, particularly in the global south and the poorest parts of the world, bear the heaviest burdens, not only because of their socioeconomic conditions, but also because of systemic inequities in our societies, which allow for resource capture by the powerful, frequently men, and that resource capture includes access to education, decision-making, health, everything that basically makes for a reasonable life and some level of justice and equity in societies. Statistics reveal a stark reality. During climate-induced disasters, women face higher mortality rates than men, and children too. In extreme weather events such as heat waves and tropical cyclones, for example in China, in Pakistan, in Bangladesh, and the Philippines, it's been noted that female mortality rates have been significantly higher. Climate-induced displacement has a distinct gendered impact. 80% of people displaced by climate change are women and girls. The crisis also disrupts essential services, including reproductive health care, and that means vulnerabilities for women increase. Beyond climate change, the interlinked challenge of poverty remains a significant barrier to women's empowerment. Climate disasters drive poverty, and poverty in turn intensifies climate disasters. You get into a vicious cycle where you move negatively down the spiral. Today, over 10% of women worldwide live in extreme poverty. They survive on less than $2 per day. And at the current trajectory, 342 million women, 8% of the global female population, will still be living in poverty by 2030. That's really an alarming and very depressing statistic. Structural barriers such as workforce discrimination, limited access to education, deeply embedded societal norms further restrict women's economic participation and leadership. Despite these challenges, women are not merely victims of climate change and socioeconomic disparities. They have agency, and they are powerful agents for change. Women's leadership in science, technology, and innovation is crucial for building resilient economies, fostering environmental stewardship, and ensuring sustainable development. The point, though, is to give them the tools, to give them the knowledge, to give them the resources to play that kind of empowered role. And in that, science, technology play a very, very important role. Access to both can make all the difference. Now, in Pakistan, with the United Nations and the government, there is an initiative that has started on the Indus River, on the Indus Basin. And the reason that the ecosystem of the Indus has been chosen as being the most important to Pakistan's future is because most of Pakistan is dependent entirely on the Indus Basin. Every single province in Pakistan it bases its economy on a ability to resource its agriculture, its urban settlements, its economic development, and generally its growth in every way on the sustainability of the Indus Basin. That is under threat with climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution. And the Indus Initiative, the Indus program as it has now become, is an attempt to ensure that the Indus is managed sustainably, that it is restored, that it is recharged, and that the waters that flow from the mountains, the Karakoram in the north of Pakistan, down to the sea in the Indus Delta, remain a source of life to Pakistan, remain a source of life to its economy and its people. Climate no longer gives us the guarantees that we used to have, that the snows would fall, that the monsoon would come, that the quantity of water that we got every year would be reliable. Given that unpredictability and uncertainty, we need to manage and adapt to a very different future. That is what the Indus program is all about. Women and their role in that is essential to ensuring the success of the program. And it is, in many of its various interventions, it has a particular role for women and gender aspects to be played out. It has an interdisciplinary approach, and it allows women to and empowers women to lead groundbreaking projects in sustainable agriculture, eco-friendly urban planning, renewable energy. It integrates traditional ecological knowledge, which frequently women are the greatest resource of, with cutting-edge science, and involving the women in the initiative. We are developing scalable, climate-smart solutions tailored to the unique challenges of their communities, bringing whatever needs to be done to their homes, rather than asking them to come to where the problems are, because the problems frequently are right around them. And models like that exemplify how gender-responsive innovation can drive sustainable development and climate adaptation. Now, the theme of today's discussion, Unpacking STEM Careers, Her Voice in Science, is a timely call to action. It is exactly the kind of empowering tool, science, technology, and innovation, alongside nature-based solutions and strategic global partnerships, that are at the heart of sustainable development and empowering women. However, gender equity remains a cross-cutting enabler. A diverse scientific community that includes the perspectives of women will yield more holistic, effective, and sustainable solutions to global challenges. The question we must ask ourselves is not only what innovation is being pursued, but who is leading, funding, making decisions, and having the impact, and who actually benefits from that impact. Institutions and companies with greater gender diversity in leadership are more likely to develop disruptive innovations, creative innovations, particularly those addressing societal and environmental challenges. And women in particular are generally a lot more pragmatic about what is necessary, what is needed for their families. So it's pretty likely that with them in the lead, you will get practical solutions that work for families. To foster such gender-responsive innovation and climate action, we must invest in education and training, scholarships and targeted programs for women in STEM fields that can help bridge the gender gap, promote equitable access to climate finance. Financial institutions must mobilize an estimated $1 trillion by 2030 globally to stay on track with net zero goals. It's imperative, however, that these resources, when they become available, are allocated equitably, ensuring they empower women-led climate initiatives rather than reinforcing existing inequalities. And this is where resource capture becomes an extremely important aspect of equity, which needs to be monitored in a way to ensure that the money goes where it is needed and where it is most useful. One needs to strengthen policy and governance frameworks. Governments and international organizations implement policies that support women's participation in scientific leadership and innovation. And this includes policies that support women's work in flexible work arrangements, mentorship programs, and robust anti-discrimination laws. We need to champion social and technological innovation. While technological advancements are essential, we also need to ensure that they're integrated with social innovation and a shift in culture and a shift in cultural values, which allows women access to everything which men have access to. This requires rethinking traditional structures and empowering women to lead systemic change in their communities and industries. So, participants, ladies and gentlemen, as we gather here today, let us reaffirm our commitment to create a more inclusive and sustainable world, one where women are not only participants but leaders in science, innovation, and climate action. Gender equity in STEM is not a matter of social justice alone. It is necessary for the economies of countries to prosper and for the future of our planet. I extend my deepest appreciation to COMSATS for its steadfast efforts in advocating for women in science and technology, to the leadership of Ambassador Nafis Zakaria, and to all the women present today. Your contributions are invaluable. Your leadership is essential in shaping a better world for future generations. Thank you.